It's Super Tuesday. Did you get your sticker?
The ballots are cast, the votes are counted. Now we bring you the results.
The field is thinning. The stakes are getting higher. All the candidates say they have what it takes to win the White House. Today's results tell a different story.
Let's get started. And we are starting with this. Victory in Virginia for Joe Biden. He is the projected winner. The former vice president finding similar results across the border in North Carolina. Joe Biden also the projected winner in the Tar Heel state.
We're leaving the spin to the guys on cable. This is the team to trust tonight. Marcy Gonzalez joins us with how Super Tuesday played out nationwide. And what if you voted for a candidate who dropped out? Madeline David has that answer.
We also have one of the biggest names in Virginia politics in the House, Dr. Quentin Kidd from the CNU Wasson Center for Public Policy. He'll join us in a few moments to put it all into context for us. We're glad you chose us to get you up to speed. I'm David Allen.
And I'm Nicole Livas. Now let's get to the map. A big night for Joe Biden. Keep in mind, he won the South Carolina primary over the weekend. Biden picked up 2 endorsements yesterday from former candidates Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. Let's bring in Marcy Gonzalez. She's in California where the polls just closed.
From Alabama, we won Alabama.
Former Vice President Joe Biden celebratory as the first results of Super Tuesday rolled in.
It's a good night, and it seems to be getting even better. They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing.
Getting a boost from endorsements by Pete Buttigieg and Senator Amy Klobuchar a day after they dropped out of the race.
I just thought that Joe Biden had the best chance.
Those moderate Democrats uniting behind Biden, hoping to push past Senator Bernie Sanders, who went into the night the front runner.
But we're going to win because the people understand it is our campaign, our movement, which is best positioned to defeat Trump.
Senator Elizabeth Warren working through the evening to convince voters this is still more than a two-way race.
But prediction has been a terrible business, and the pundits have gotten it wrong over and over. So here's my advice. Cast a vote that will make you proud.
Former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg on the ballot for the first time, taking home his first delegates, but overall trailing significantly. The billionaire still adamant that he is not dropping out of the race.
I know we can do it, and you know who else knows it? Donald Trump.
Both Bloomberg and Warren looking right past Super Tuesday, campaigning tonight in states holding some of the next big primaries. Voters in Michigan and 5 other states go to the polls a week from today. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Burbank, California.
Marcy, thank you. Let's bring in Brian Farrell now to show us how people voted here. Brian?
Yeah, Nicole, we're going to take a little bit of time just to do that. Let's start off in Virginia and talk about how some things looked in the Hampton Roads area. We're just going to zoom into the map here a little bit. Let me get us a little closer into Hampton Roads, too. Now, the numbers over here on the side that you see, top number is statewide. So let's just see, for instance, how City of Chesapeake voted. Biden win there clearly over Bernie Sanders, 22,000 compared to just shy of 7,000 for Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren at 2363, 2820 for Mike Bloomberg. Let's dip out of that. Let's go a little bit west of that. Suffolk, how did you vote? 10,000 for Biden. 2,000, a little bit more than that, 2,200 for Bernie Sanders. And again, then we start dropping. We see 704 for Warren. Now, Bloomberg did do pretty well comparatively to her out in Suffolk. We don't want to forget up on the peninsula. Let's go over to City of Hampton. City of Hampton, 15,000 for Biden, 4,300 there for Sanders, 1,200 for Elizabeth Warren. And we're going to just do this really fast and bop down to North Carolina just to get a look at a couple of the counties down there that we have. And we'll start right here and go with Currituck County to start. Again, a Biden win. Interesting to see how the numbers drop, though, when you go into North Carolina, significantly lower compared to Virginia, 952, 419, 170, 274 again. Bloomberg, a little bit better than Warren. And one more, let's just dip into Dare County, and you can see again, similar pattern, 2,100, 1,200.
Brian, thank you. So what does this all mean? Well, David is with 13 News Now political analyst Quentin Kidd.
Quentin, a lot of talk today about Joe Biden's performance tonight. Let's talk a little bit about the undercard. Where does this leave Mike Bloomberg?
Well, that's a really good question, and Mike Bloomberg himself and his team have to be thinking that very thing tonight. he picked up a few delegates, and so he'll be able to take those delegates with him to the Democratic convention. But this was going to be his day, right? He had built his entire campaign on winning Super Tuesday, winning states in Super Tuesday. He won American Samoa. Perhaps we'll see what the final results are, and that's it. That speech he gave tonight looked like something that was written at 10 this morning and not edited to reflect the results of tonight. He says he's not getting out. He's signed contracts for all of his staffers through Election Day. So the real question for me is Biden in the race as a candidate, or is he in the race as a funder? I think it's going to be one of those two things, and we'll probably know the answer within the next few days.
Bloomberg, you mean?
I'm sorry, is Bloomberg in the race as a candidate or a funder?
How does Bernie Sanders perhaps get the momentum back?
Well, there are going to be some states going forward where Sanders is going to do really well in, but clearly the momentum has shifted in Biden's direction. Sanders probably has a real ceiling. I mean, if we compare this year with 2016, sure, he's got a ceiling.
All right, quickly, Elizabeth Warren, where does she go? It doesn't look like she won Massachusetts.
It's a good question. I would look to see her drop in the next day or two.
Quentin Kidd, thanks for your perspective. Yep. All right, Nicole?
All right. And just in, Bernie Sanders has won California's Democratic presidential primary. The state has 415 delegates at stake, the biggest haul on the electoral map. Now, if you voted today, you probably noticed the 14 names on the ballot. Most of them dropped out. But keep in mind, hundreds of thousands of ballots have already been cast early or absentee. So what does that mean if you voted for someone who's no longer running? Madeline David asked the experts.
Let's say your candidate of choice was Pete Buttigieg or Amy Klobuchar, and you've already cast your ballot. But this past weekend, they dropped out of the race. We're seeing two major questions about this scenario. Can you revote? And where does your vote go now? 13 News Now political expert Quentin Kidd says the primary election sets the stage for the Democratic National Convention, when the presidential nominee is chosen on a basis of delegates. Virginia has 99 pledged delegates, and in order for a candidate to grab a delegate seat, they must garner 15% of the vote. The number of delegates will then be allocated proportionately among the candidates who do that. But if a dropout is able to get 15% of the vote, it's on that person to give their delegates to someone who is still in the race at the DNC. Meaning, even though we've heard Bernie Sanders is a front runner in delegates now, Joe Biden could take a major lead tonight with all the Buttigieg and Klobuchar voters, since the two have endorsed him. As for the question, can you redo your vote? The answer is simply no. For 13 News Now, I'm Madeline David.
One last note here, if you text the word results to this number, we'll text back the direct link to our results page, 757-628-6200. All right, we're spreading facts, not fear, when it comes to the coronavirus. We know this is important to you, so let's get you up to speed now. First, there are no confirmed cases in Virginia. There is one in North Carolina. We learned about that today.
State health officials say that person traveled to Seattle. They are at home resting. In all, there are 126 cases reported across 16 states. The only U.S. deaths from coronavirus are in Washington state, where 9 people have died.
At home, a Virginia Beach business might have trouble getting products from China. Angelo Vargas picks up that part of the story from the newsroom. Angelo?
Nicole, we reached out to several businesses here in Hampton Roads, and Ted tells us that most of them are doing okay, but one surf shop board owner tells us he gets his boards from China and that some of them may not make it to his shop. And Tony Polino just got a letter from his supplier that some Chinese companies are still shut down. They were supposed to reopen in February. Now they may not reopen until later this month. Polino says he doesn't know when the next letter will come or when he'll be able to get the China boards he ordered.
There's that group of customers that may not be able to afford, product X, Y, or Z without having the help of the China labor rates and things like that. So as that does take a toll and factories remain shut down, even if they open in time, we may not get the shipments in time for summer.
Angelo, there's a big surfing community here, and as well as the East Coast Surfing Championships, ECSC, so any impact there?
Yeah, Nicole, there is a big surfing community here, and Polino is actually the chairman for the ECSC, and he tells us they were actually having a discussion tonight about the coronavirus, if they were going to shut the championships down. They made that decision tonight that they will not shut it down. Nicole.
All right, Angelo, thank you.
You heard Angelo mention the flu. Should we be treating the coronavirus the same way we treat the flu? The WHO answered that today. Here's what Jason Puckett and the Verified team found out.
There are a lot of alarming headlines out there about coronavirus, but being alarmist doesn't help you protect your family. We want to give you the facts in a straightforward, well-researched manner. Take this, for example. A lot of people are comparing coronavirus to the flu, but are they even similar? First, look at the number of cases. In the U.S., there have been between 32 and 45 million cases of the flu this year. Only about 100 cases of coronavirus have been confirmed. So then why are people online talking about wearing masks and stocking up on groceries? It's a question the World Health Organization wanted to answer, so they looked into it. And the answer comes down to one thing: fear of the unknown.
This virus is not SARS. It's not MERS. And it's not influenza.
WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus says even though they're not the same, coronavirus and the flu do have one similarity.
Both COVID-19 and influenza cause respiratory disease and spread the same way.
Both viruses spread by droplets from coughing or sneezing. Beyond that, they're totally different.
COVID-19 does not transmit as efficiently as influenza.
In fact, the flu spreads much easier than coronavirus because people spread germs that can cause the flu, even if they don't have symptoms. Another significant difference between the two: this coronavirus is brand new.
While many people globally have built up immunity to seasonal flu strains, COVID-19 is a new virus to which no one has immunity.
That means the effects of coronavirus tend to be more severe. So far, deaths have been reported in about 2 to 4% of coronavirus cases. The flu's death rate is less than 1%. So the viruses are different, but Dr. Tedros didn't want that to lead to more fear. He pointed out that the majority of coronavirus cases, around 80%, have had mild symptoms. And in countries like the US, the risk of getting sick is still very low. With your Verified, I'm Jason Puckett.
All right, back to our top story. Joe Biden is the winner of the Virginia and North Carolina primaries. Within the past 30 minutes, he wrapped up a speech to his supporters.
Yeah, we'll hear what he has to say as 13 News Now continues on this Super Tuesday.